Hi besties, it's Annie, your Bookish Chaos coordinator, and welcome back to the cozy chaos of reading with me. Welcome to the very first Trope Trials. This is the whole new series that I'm going to be doing this year, where we take two books that have similar themes, similar vibes, similar tropes, and we're going to put them against each other because what is better than a book elimination? So here's the plan. I'm going to be reading both of these books back to back, and then we're going to do some check-ins partway through. We're going to have some chill, cozy times while we're actually reading, but ultimately we have to decide which is better. We've got Rule of Three by Misty Watts, which is a Why Choose Mafia contemporary romance, and then we've got Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Maas, which is a Why Choose Greek mythology inspired fantasy, and I am so excited for both of these books. I think this is going to be so much fun, but ultimately we're going to have to decide which wins, contemporary or fantasy, and the battle begins now. First up, we've got Rule of Three by Misty Watts. We're going to be starting with this one, and I don't even quite know where to begin with this. Dark romance is not usually my typical vibe, but we're going to roll with it because this is a Russian mafia romance, and we've got three guys: the ex, the bodyguard, and the billionaire. And honestly, the trigger warnings list for this is not super duper long, but like I think as you go through the series, the list just like kind of gets a little bit longer, which is honestly terrifying. The trigger warnings for this is explicit language, explicit spice, group spice, forced forced proximity, kidnapping, forced marriage. There's a lot of forcing in this book. Dubious consent, stalking, family betrayal and manipulation, violence, murder, emotional abuse, physical abuse and assault, non-consensual kissing, and drugging for kidnapping. So, you know, your kind of usual run-of-the-mill dark romance mafia kind of vibe. So our main girlie is a mafia princess, and she was previously engaged to the said ex and basically ran away at the altar, and now she's back for another go. And I am so super excited because I think we're gonna get some like really interesting tropes in here. Like obviously we've got like a second chance romance, we've got a billionaire, like what could be better? But at the bottom it says it's book one of a dark Russian mafia Why Choose romance duet with a cliffhanger ending. The men are morally grey, tattooed, possessive and powerful. Oh my god. And literally at the bottom of the blurb it says, but the cost of the crown is steep and I'm at risk to lose it all. My family, my freedom, and worst of all, my heart. If loving one criminal is dangerous, loving three is fatal. Do I need to say any more? Like, I'm so excited to just get straight into reading, so let's not waste any more time. Chapter 1, Valentina 5 years earlier. Where are we at with Rule of Three? I think I got to a little bit over 50% last night. Don't really quite understand our main girlie. She kind of like came back to the mafia with a plan. She was like, I'm a girlie with a plan. Me and my grandmother have been basically exiled for 5 years and now I'm back and I'm gonna like figure all this out, like figure out what happened to my mom because of some creepy letter that I got on my wedding day 5 years ago. And she was like, I'm gonna trust no one and I'm gonna be an independent queen. And then like as soon as she gets them, she's like, huh, what plan? Like what plan? I don't have a plan. I don't know what you're talking about. They've just visited this like orphanage that basically is under the patronage of the wife to the main boss man, which is about to be her. And she's like, oh my gosh, my grandmother basically founded this place. And she's like taken on a tour by one of the girls that works there, who's like, oh, you know, like it's such a shame that, you know, like your grandmother and your mother are like dead. And she's like, my grandmother's not dead. Like, you were not meant to say that. Like, your grandmother is in danger from the literal people that you are getting action with. It's frustrating. One minute she's like, oh, I must protect my grandmother. And then, like, she's like walking around this orphanage and she's like, oh, maybe Granny isn't in danger anymore. And maybe, like, she could come back too. Like, that would be so nice. And it's like, yeah, that would be probably pretty nice. She's like, oh, my grandmother's not dead. And then the guy she's with, Mikhail, something like that. He's like, oh, well, I'll just, like, off her anyway as soon as I see her. She's like, no, you won't. And he's like, yeah, I can't tell you, but like she's keeping secrets from you, but like I can't tell you. I'm seeing a theme and I'm not here for it. It's not even like miscommunication. It's just like basically let me just withhold information, and I hate that. Like I actually genuinely hate that more than the pregnancy trope. I'm kind of not super loving it for that. It is spicy, I think, what they're actually doing rather than necessarily what they're actually doing. That doesn't make any sense at all. Rewind. Think it's spicy because how they're involved rather than what they're necessarily doing. That makes a bit more sense. I mean, I don't hate it. A little bit confused. I'm trying to kind of work out where all these storylines are coming in. I only found out last night when I logged that I was at like 40 something % before I did like my last few chapters, that there's apparently a prequel that you're meant to have read, and I'm like, cool, well, I didn't know that. So I feel like I'm kind of missing a bit of information, which is probably covered in the prequel. I feel like I need some answers to kind of really understand what's going on. Good morning, besties. It is a comfy cozy day. I don't know why, but I'm really tired today. I basically have no plans other than reading, and I am at 70% through Rule of 3, and I feel like things are like about to kind of kick off, like especially with this like grandmother storyline that's been kind of building. So they're literally like days away from the wedding. The boys have been like trying to work out like where grandma is, and like have made it very clear to Valentina that like they want to off her and they think that she's a problem. And then there's this like there's a whole load of stuff going on. I won't go into all the details because I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but they're like days away from the wedding and Valentina's like, oh, I really want my grandmother there, like she's my only living relative, which okay, fair, like granted. I can't quite tell if she's naive because she's like, oh, but I want my granny there because like she's my only living relative and like cutesy cozy cuddly, and I'm just gonna like completely ignore the fact that we're in the Mafia. Seems a little naive. And then part of me is like, the whole thing is like just changed, and now I'm not 100% convinced that she is naive. Are you in on this? Have you been in on this the entire time? Have you been lying to everyone? I'm so confused, like in a good way. Honestly, I'm at page 243 of 348. So I've basically got like 100 pages left to go. My Kindle says it's going to take me about an hour and a half. I've got like a little fireplacey ambience on the TV, and I have no intention of moving from this seat until I finish it, basically. That is my current plan for the day, and I've thought of nothing further. So let's see if she actually is naive or she's like secretly a little mastermind and should have a Taylor Swift song as her theme tune, because I don't know right now. literally just finished Rule of Three, and honestly, like, I'm kind of not surprised the turns it kind of took. Like, I kind of could see it coming. It's the first part of duology. Like, obviously, I don't want to say it's like really obvious, but it is kind of obvious, like, once you start like reading it. But what I do quite like about it is the fact that our three guys, even though they're mafia guys and they're like kind of like leading the mafia and they're like criminals, whatever, they're meant to be bad people. The fact is they're like, looks like could kill you is a cinnamon roll, and I kind of like that a little bit, I think. I mean, the whole storyline with the ex and the grandma, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm just not really here for it. Like, I don't like the storyline, but then I don't think you're meant to like the storyline because they're like the bad guys. Like, that's not even like a spoiler. Like, you get that from like the word go. Valentina kind of annoys me a little bit as a character because I think she's just like too naive. She literally has like zero sense of self-preservation. It seems a little convenient sometimes that she's like a little bit dumb and a little bit like clueless, and I'm not super loving that. Like, I think just like as a character she kind of annoys me, but like I can kind of see where it's going, and I'm like, okay, fair, maybe. I mean, the romancy side of it, the YG side of it, I was like, yeah, like, I'm kind of here for it. I'd say it's like a 4 out of 5 chilies because there is some plot at least, but there's like quite a few scenes, and there's like a couple of them where I'm like, really, now? Also, no one took a course on gun safety because they just like yeet it off the side of a table onto the floor. I'm like, we don't have guns in this country. I know you don't do that. Like, that's not safe. So, looking at my trusty review breakdown and my like kind of key for how I'm rating books this year, I would say this probably aligns with a 3-star, which was, it was pretty good. I didn't love it. I mean, I did kind of enjoy it, but I didn't like really enjoy it. So I would say it's pretty good, which would be a 3-star, and I would say it is a 4 on the spice because like there are some scenes where they just like do not hold back. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna give this book. I mean, from a contemporary standpoint, like, I don't generally read mafia romance, to be completely honest, because it's not even that it's like necessarily not my cup of tea. There's just like, there's some things that like generally are like quite common with mafia romances that like I think because I don't read it, I kind of like don't really get it in the same way, but like it's not bad. But as a main character, Valentina absolutely drives me nuts. Which means we now get to move on to Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Mass. Again, this is another White Shoes. This one is Greek mythology inspired. So it says, step into the Colosseum at the Spartan War Academy where monsters are made, immortality is won, and even a god can die. This kind of gives me like similar vibes in terms of like the way that it's kind of being described of this like academy, and like she's got to do more than just survive, claim her birthright, all this kind of stuff. It kind of gives me similar vibes to Psycho Shifters, which I did really enjoy book 1. And then book 2 just kind of like got a little bit weird, and it was like very much like Hunger Gamesy trial kind of thing, which is like not specifically my cup of tea. So I'm kind of on the fence with this one because like I feel like there are going to be like various trials. Yeah, when a blood test, where the heroes are villains and classrooms battlegrounds, there is going to be that kind of like trial-y kind of thing in it. I don't hate all the time, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it, but I think sometimes it just feels a little bit overdone. She ends up, from what I can gather, with Achilles and Patro, and her name is Alexis. So I feel like there's like some very strong Greek mythology ties, which I'm really excited for because I'm going on holiday to Greece later this year, and I literally just like cannot wait. It's like my favorite freaking place. I love it. I'm also really excited because I have this beautiful special edition. Let's get started with reading this. And we've got a nice little lineage. I feel like this is going to be like quite world building heavy, like just with the details of like the lineage, the houses. I think this could be quite interesting. Wow, did I really just make my way through 3 hours of my little campfire? That's a little bit sad. Give me a new video, YouTube. But yeah, so I'm really excited to start this. But yes, I am really excited to get started with this because Greek mythology is like pretty much an instant win for me, so this one probably has a little bit of a leg up, but we don't need to talk too much about that. Let's stop procrastinating and get started. guys, honestly, I've been rotting in this bed all morning and I'm like actually really here for it and I've been having a great time. But I am not quite 50% of the way through, but I'm pretty nearly halfway through because I'm at page 196, which is chapter 13. I am fully obsessed. I am so here for this book. It's a really interesting kind of like mix of ancient Greek and ancient Roman influences because I feel like it's like primarily ancient Greek influence with some of the characters and the gods because they're the Greek version of the gods, not the Roman version and such. There's like certain little bits in here, like there's a lot of Latin, there's a lot of Roman influence in that regard, which I'm actually kind of really here for as well. I really love the fact that we see Alexis when she's 10, when she's like going through all of this like initial stuff in her life, because like you really build out her character a little bit and kind of like understand where she's come from, where she's kind of going, because then as we're now like kind of going through a little bit more of this like mental trial stuff that she's currently going through now that she's 19, we're kind of getting a little bit more of not even like necessarily like an insight into who she really is as a person, but like it's like really obvious and it just like you really feel every decision she makes, every little thing, even the bits where she's kind of a little bit low-key unhinged at times. It just like feels really strongly rooted, and like some of her like reactions, like the strong reactions she has to certain situations and certain things in this book are really strongly rooted. I'm really desperately trying not to give this away and I'm trying not to give you guys any spoilers because I'm honestly having so much fun knowing literally nothing about this book going into it. This has been such a fun reading experience. I'm having a blast. I'm having a while of a time. Really here for this. I'm really here for like our main cast of characters. They're not even fun, but I just feel like they're just such an interesting bunch and I actually really like her as a main character. She's got a lot of trauma. There's a note at the beginning about trigger warnings, check the author's website, but it's like, look, this is a dark romance with darker obsession and some other bits and pieces thrown in there. I think this is a slow burn. I think at the front it said this is a slow burn, and I think that book 2 has already been announced for later this year. I can't remember if it's like September or November. Either way, I can already tell you that I want it. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say apart from I'm gonna head back into this corner. I'm gonna continue rotting and continue reading because I'm having a great time, and this is probably the most boring B-roll ever because I'm not moving from this spot at all. Guys, I'm like literally screaming. I'm on chapter 22, which is page 335. And this is only like 460 odd pages, so I'm like getting my way through this. Oh my god, like I am deceased. I am screaming. I am obsessed. Like this is just completely taken over my brain. Like I have been rotting here all day just reading this book. Evidently from the state of me, I have done nothing else today. I've definitely not been drinking enough water either, so I'm gonna fix that in a second. Y'all, I think I pegged this wrong. Like I thought at the beginning from the blurb and the description and like the details, I was like, oh, so the romance is gonna be in this direction. Y'all, I was wrong. I just like, my brain is like low-key fried. I can't function fully right now. And like all I want to do is finish this like 100 odd pages. I'm obsessed. God, 100% this is like a 5-star. I need the second book to like start immediately after I finish this one. I need it with me now. My brain just like doesn't work anymore. Okay, you guys, so I finished Blood of Hercules last night. I am screaming obsessed. Honestly, I spent the entire day rotting in bed, and honestly, if that was not just like the best experience and like exactly what my little brain needed. This book is so like, it's crazy good. Honestly, this is a 5-star hands down. I would say it's probably a 2 chilies, just because for like so much of the book it's like kind of YA in the sense of like there's really nothing there, and then there's like 2 scenes where she's not like directly involved, it's just kind of like happening around her until you get to like right at the very end. And I was like, okay, there has to be like a little bit of something in here. I really love the fact that it's both Greek and Roman influence. I feel like they kind of mesh really well in this story, which is really unique and like so interesting for this. I love Alexis as a main character. All of the twists and turns. Okay, like look, I've said it before, I would say it again, I will repeat this until the end of time. I'm not really a twist and turny girly. I am not very good at figuring out who done it. I am not very good at preemptively guessing what the plot is gonna be. I was so hooked. Like I could not guess anything that was coming in this. Like it was so good. I was obsessed. I'm sorry, rule of 3, but hands down, Blood of Hercules is the winner. Like it's not even a discussion. Like it's just so good. And if you haven't read this, then do go read it. I don't know how the heck I'm meant to wait till October for book 2 to come out. Like I want it now. I would reread the heck out of this book, but I'm also like, I've got a massive TBR. I really shouldn't reread it instantly. Have you guys read either of these 2 books? What would you say is your favorite? And let me know in the comments down below. You guys know I love talking about what is our favorites, what are we vibing with, what is just like the moment of the books. Please let me know. Also, let me know if you really liked this style of video, kind of like batting them against each other. Let me know what you guys think. If you've got any tropes or any like key bits of a plot that you want me to do a trope trials video of. If it's friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, who did this to you, I don't care what it is. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you want to see and I will do a video on it. I am so excited to do these. I think this has been so much fun and we've got an amazing book as our first winner ever. So thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with me and watching this video. I love you guys so much and I really appreciate all your guys' support. Stay cozy, stay chaotic, have an amazing reading day and I will see you guys next time. Bye!